This is the Dollemore Daily.
Hi, I'm Mike Greiner from the Democratic Activist Channel, and I'm sitting in for Jesse today while he's moving from California to D.C. While he's moving, though, the news never stops, so let's talk politics. And one article that jumped out at me today was a report that Jared Schmeck, a conservative Christian father of four who called into a Christmas call-in event with his children and insulted Joe Biden while he was doing it, is considering running for office. And my response is, but of course he is. Well, let's kind of pick it apart a little. For starters, Jared Schmeck, a self-described Christian who supposedly asks himself, what would Jesus do when he decides what he's going to do, called in with his children to a Christmas event hosted by President and Dr. Jill Biden. The occurrence was entirely taped by Schmeck's wife, who then posted on Twitter, receiving all kinds of positive responses from the usual conservative MAGA crowd. Well, this event that they called into is the famed NORAD Santa, which, for those who are unaware, goes back to the 1950s, when a wrong number printed in a newspaper ad resulted in children calling into the North American Aerospace Defense Command, otherwise known as NORAD. Not wanting to disappoint the children who were calling in at the time, apparently some Air Force officers were responding to the children's calls and letting them know where Santa was, as they were able to track him with the sophisticated instruments that the United States has to track nuclear missiles as they're approaching the United States potentially. I first heard about NORAD's annual Santa tracking effort, which started in that surprising event back when my kids were little. By then, we already had the internet, so you could actually go to the website for NORAD and watch where Santa is around the world as he goes around the world Christmas Eve delivering presents. It's a beautiful tradition, and part of it involves a toll-free line that children can call in to talk to officers in the military who will give the kids updates as to where Santa is. A certain percentage of those kids are then tracked over to talk with the president and the first lady. It's really a wonderful tradition. And literally every year, myself and my kids would look at the NORAD Santa website. And as recently as this Christmas, I went with my 6-year-old grandson to look at the website and see where Santa was. Now, the Bidens, showing just what genuinely nice people they are, were taking questions from the kids and talking with them and doing really a wonderful job. Just as a reminder, by the way, the one year when Trump did this activity, he said to one caller, quote, "Are you still a believer in Santa?" And then, after listening for a moment, he responded, "Because at 7, it's marginal, right?" Not exactly the kind of thing that you would think a genuinely nice person president would be saying to children calling into a Santa. At any rate, President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden were doing a very nice thing for Schmeck's kids as well as kids across the country, talking to them and wishing them a Merry Christmas. And after Biden wished Schmeck and his kids a Merry Christmas, what does Schmeck say? He says, "Let's go, Brandon."
I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Well, yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas as well. Merry Christmas, and let's go, Brandon.
Well, for those of you who don't know what that stands for, "Let's go, Brandon" is basically a stand-in phrase for F Joe Biden. It got its start after NASCAR racer Brandon Brown was interviewed on NBC, and the crowd in the background was shouting something, which ultimately turned out to be F Joe Biden. And the reporter, trying to essentially smooth it over for the TV audience, said, "Oh, listen, everybody's chanting, 'Let's go, Brandon.'" So you can see the connection there. So in other words, here was the president doing something really nice for children he'd never met before, wishing them Merry Christmas on Christmas Eve, at a time that he didn't have to be doing it, frankly. And what does this supposed Christian do, who's afraid of Christmas being canceled? Well, he says this vulgar phrase to the president. This, to me, does not really describe someone who's a genuinely good person. To make matters worse, then, Schmeck went on an interview with Christian broadcaster Todd Starnes. Now let's pick apart some pieces of this interview a little bit. Schmeck said, quote, "At the end of the day, I want God's will for my life in the direction it goes. And I strongly believe that standing up is the right thing to do here, as long as that message that I'm portraying is glorifying his name." So, apparently saying a crude comment to the President of the United States on Christmas Eve when he was doing a nice thing for your children is glorifying God's name? I don't quite see that. Schmeck is proud of his support for President Trump, and he stated on this interview that he would be honored to visit Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Now, again, I don't think I need to go into all of Donald Trump's policies. Anybody who watches this channel is certainly well aware of them. But it really makes me wonder at what point a Christian can say that they support somebody like Donald Trump, who personally is not a Christian, does not attend services, and does not show himself to be devout in any way, shape, or form, as Joe Biden does, by the way, and whose policies represent really the worst of what people would say, taking money away from the poor and giving it to the rich. It's exactly what Jesus would have been opposed to. If you don't believe me in terms of that, I would just direct your attention to Mark 10:25, where Jesus said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God." So I find how it's hard for someone to say, oh, we support Donald Trump and his policies of giving huge tax breaks to the very wealthy while taking health care and child care away from everybody else, including the poor. Next, he said that Let's Go Brandon encompasses the entirety of our frustration with Joe Biden, the administration, the leftist mob, the cancel culture, the mainstream media. I mean, let's just pick this apart for a second here. Frustration with Joe Biden. Just what are they frustrated about with him? I mean, do they not support the infrastructure package that he passed? Are they not accepting the money they're getting in their bank accounts as a result of the dependent child tax credit money that they were getting? The leftist mob. Last I looked, I didn't see a leftist mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th. The cancel culture. I love that, of course. I mean, these are the people who basically ruined Colin Kaepernick's career for very peaceful protests. I don't think we need to go there. And then finally, the mainstream media, who research has showed are actually harder on Joe Biden than they were on Donald Trump. Finally, in the interview, he claimed repeatedly that the election was stolen from Trump and that Trump is still the president.
You're John Q. Public. What is that? What is that disapproval? Can you define that for us?
Yeah. I mean, for me, Let's Go Brandon is, and I've said it in other articles, I am a Christian man. For me, it's God first and foremost. I don't follow any one man blindly. Some of the media has run with that and said I don't support Donald Trump. That's absolutely false. Donald Trump is my president, and he should still be president right now. The election was 100% stolen. So I just want to make that clear.
Once again, complete BS. An outrageous lie that has been perpetrated by Donald Trump and his handlers. And it's something that has been repeatedly debunked by courts, by Republicans, by independents, by any research that has been done into it. So in other words, this disgusting, selfish individual who calls himself a Christian but doesn't stand by Christian values, well, he's exactly the kind of person Republicans would like to elect to office. I mean, consider Kyle Rittenhouse, the murderer, who Republican office holders were falling over themselves to offer jobs to after he was acquitted for murdering in cold blood 3 individuals. Something that has disgusted his defense attorneys, by the way. Well, he received a standing ovation at a conservative event where he was claiming he was standing up for people's Second Amendment rights. So shooting peaceful protesters you disagree with is defending your Second Amendment rights. I get it. Okay, good. Or for that matter, you've got Donald Trump and Melania. I mean, my favorite comments from some of the MAGA crowd have been the comments comparing Melania favorably to Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama, one of the most impressive first ladies we've ever had in the White House. An incredibly accomplished, Harvard-educated lawyer who practiced successfully before she married Barack Obama. She's articulate and compassionate and somebody who represents all the best of what we are as America. But she's got black skin. And as a result of that, the conservatives love Melania. One of the least impressive, least educated, most selfish first ladies we've ever had. One whose only claim to fame was essentially working as a stripper. But yet those values conservatives, they love her. So I guess the point is, if you're a quality person, you shouldn't run as a Republican, because those are not the kinds of people they want to elect. It's the a-holes and the losers that they like. So in that way, Jared Schmeck should fit right in. Well, if you disagree with me or agree with me, I'd love to see your comments down below. And if you could check out my channel, Democratic Activist, we'll link to that down below. I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.